Hi, in this brief video tutorial, we're going to continue to take a look at Google Classroom's assignment tool. In the previous tutorial, you saw how all students could come to a single document like a slideshow and edit, mark it as done when they're complete. This time, we're going to hover over the plus sign, create an assignment, and this time instead of a group edit, we're going to do make a copy for each student. We'll call this a make a copy assignment. This is actually a Regents exam thematic essay. Say open the attached file. Pick your essay and turn it in when you are done. We can set a due date as we have before. We can set a specific time if we choose to. If we don't like this time, of course, we can just hand type the time. You can establish a topic. Once again, we can differentiate who receives it. All classes are one. Pick and choose. We can also select which students receive it. And as before, we can always schedule, save it as a draft, or assign immediately, which is what we'll do now. I just have to attach a file. I already have a file prepared in Google Docs. As I mentioned in the previous video, attaching PDFs, Word documents, YouTube videos, links is kind of pointless for make a copy for every student. You'd want to select some kind of Google file that is editable. So in this case, I have a Google Doc I already created. As I mentioned, I took a global essay and I made it so into a Google Doc. Students can view this file. Well, we want them to each have their own copy. As you saw in the previous tutorial, when students can edit, they all edit the same file. Make a copy for each student will keep the teacher's template nice and clean, and it will make a new copy for each of the students. So let's select that and then assign it immediately. Now let's see what the student will see. From the student point of view, let's just refresh the page. We call this a make a copy assignment. We need to open this up. There's the attached file. Notice the file is automatically named with the student's name and the original title of the document. If the student wants to add more than this, they can click Add Another Document, Link, or File, or they can create from scratch. We'll demonstrate this in another tutorial. Once the file has been created, the student is going to open it up. There's the thematic essay prompt, copied and pasted from an old Regents exam. There's a line here that I included when I originally made the document. I would like students to type below the line. Of course, they can always go to File and then Page Break. Actually, it's Insert, Page Break, or you can press Control Enter on your keyboard. For the sake of time, I'm just going to type my responses, blah, blah, blah. Notice on this particular Google Doc, because it was a classroom assignment where a copy was made for each student, there is a Turn In button at the top of the screen. The student can simply turn in their work and the teacher will receive it. You'll be prompted to verify that you do in fact want to turn it in. The reason for that is because once it is turned in, when the student goes to open the document again, you will notice that there are no more editing rights available. The student has turned this document in. Editing has been turned off for the student. They are now view only. They will not be able to see teacher comments. They will not be able to make changes to the document. However, a student can always unsubmit the document. The teacher will have a running log of how many times this happened. Once it is unsubmitted, once again, when the student opens it, now they can have full editing rights. If they're all set, they can turn it in. And let's go back to the teacher screen. By the way, you can always add a private comment. Now back to the teacher screen. You can see that one student is done. When we open it up, we can click on the student's work. And if the teacher is ready to, they can scroll down to the bottom, see what the student has written, and provide feedback. If you highlight the text, you'll notice that there is a Add Comment button. Teacher can then provide some kind of feedback to the student in the margins. Whether that comment is posted, you can see the student is continuing to look at this particular document. They have it open on their screen, but again, access is denied. They can't see the document at all. Even if you reload the document, the student is unable to see the comment the teacher has written because the teacher has not yet returned the work. So no comment available. However, you can see that the teacher is in the work right now. Let's just close this out. And again, back to the teacher point of view. When the teacher is all set, they can simply close this. And when they're ready to add a grade to it, they can add a grade. Let's pretend this is worth 50 or 20 points. Let's give the student 1 out of 20. Notice it's out of 100 by default. If you click at the top, you can change this to whatever point value you choose. Doesn't affect the grade you gave. It just reflects the number that it's out of. And notice too that this checkbox, watch what happens to the return button. When I select the student, I'm ready to return his work. Now that the work has been returned, the student will see that it's done. They can open it up. And because it's done, it's being returned to the student, they now have full editing rights and they can see the comments in the margin. The student, of course, could continue to make edits and resubmit the work as needed. And again, under private comments, a teacher can reply. Of course, we wouldn't want to be sarcastic. So if the teacher chooses to, they could always delete that comment and write a new one. Once again, to review from the teacher screen, let's get back to the teacher screen. From the teacher screen, we can see that one thing has been returned. If we click on it, again, you'll get a running log of who's turned their work in and who hasn't. If you want to see the history of this particular document, you can see it was done at 1 o'clock, it was unsubmitted, resubmitted, grade was submitted, grade was changed, and it was returned to the student. Everything is documented and you can see who did what and when they did it. If you'd like to get the grades, you'll notice there's a little cog in the top corner. You can copy all the grades to a Google Sheet. You can download the grades to a comma-separated value file, which will open up in Microsoft Excel, or you can just get these grades. So let's say you have several assignments. You want to copy all of them to a spreadsheet. All the grades will be neatly organized, and you can manipulate that spreadsheet to calculate the student's grades to eventually submit onto SchoolTool. Same thing with download all grades as CSV. This will download all the assignments in this particular class to one document that you can then manipulate. Again, add your formulas, percentages, and so forth, and then fine-tune it to determine what the grade will be for SchoolTool. So to review, plus sign, creating an assignment, we give it a title, we give it instruction, we add the a Google Doc to edit. Once we do so, you'll see the dialog box to make a copy for each student. And assigning it, you can do it today, you can do it tomorrow, you can save it as a draft and do it whenever you'd like. Of course, all the differentiation tools, adding topics, adding due dates. Thanks for listening, and I hope you found this useful.